Hello and welcome to another the Ask the Data Governance Coach video series. Now, I've recorded this immediately after the last video because it was when answering that I realized that it was something that I also hadn't done a video on. So in case you haven't seen it, the last video in this series was about answering a question I'd had emailed to me asking if everybody in an organization was a data steward. And I would encourage you to go and watch that video if you're wondering the same. But the short answer for the purposes of this video is no, they're not. But I think the confusion arises because quite rightly, I do believe that everybody in an organization should have some responsibilities when it comes to data. Now, I ignored that, or I just didn't think about it in the early years of my career doing data governance. And I would work really hard to identify and engage some data owners. I would get them to nominate some data stewards who I would train and work with and really start to try and get some data definitions done, some issues solved. And I made some progress and we solved some problems. But I always had this frustration that perhaps we weren't solving as many problems and making things as good as I felt they should be. And it took me a while. But I eventually worked out that it was because I was only working with a very small percentage of the people in an organization. And it was around that time I was beginning to come to the realization that data governance, despite its name, is more about people than the data. So think about it. The data does not misbehave itself. It doesn't put itself incorrectly. It doesn't choose to get used in the wrong ways. This is all done by people. So data governance is more about the people than the data itself. What we're doing is actually doing a change management initiative to get people to actually recognize that data is an asset and that they need to think about it. And I was doing that. I was working very hard at getting people to realize they needed to manage their data better. But I was doing it with a very small handful of people in a very large organization. And that's when I realized that I needed to get everybody involved. Now, when I'm talking about data owners and data stewards, I've got a very small number of named individuals. When I needed some other roles, how could I get everybody else involved? Because I can't say, you're all responsible for data, get on with it. That's not going to help. So I came up with the terms data producer and data consumer. And I know over the years, some of my clients have called them users, data entry, use whatever works for your organization. But I usually use data producers and data consumers. And a data producer is anybody that enters or captures data into a system in your organization. And a data consumer is anybody that's using data in your organization. And if you think about it in that simplistic term, it's really easy to understand that everybody in an organization is a data producer or a data consumer, or let's be honest, probably they're both. Some people will always do more of one than another, but we all have parts of that in our organization. Now, as the data governance lead, you're not going to have time to go around and talk to every single person in your organization and identify whether they are primarily a data producer or primarily a data consumer. We use these terms to do what has very commonly become known these days as data literacy training, or the very beginnings of that, the data culture training, where we get everybody to understand that data is important and we all have some responsibilities around it. And whether that's as a data producer, you're responsible for entering and capturing data correctly and accurately, or as a consumer, making sure that you use the right data for your processes and that you actually articulate your requirements for that data to the person who's entering it if it's not you in your department. So they're very simple roles, but we use them to help get that message out there and help make this data culture where people are thinking about their data. So I hope that this video, in conjunction with the last one, helping you understand that everybody is not a data steward, but everybody in an organization are data producers and data consumers. And it's our job as the data governance lead to help them understand that. And we're going to have to work really hard in comms and training and briefings and just getting out there and talking to people. So I hope that has been useful. I have actually written a blog that's called everything you need to know about data governance roles and responsibilities. I'll put the link in the description of this so you can go and read that to understand how perhaps all these roles we've been talking about fit together. So I hope that has been useful. If it has, please help me get my message out there into the wider world by liking, sharing, subscribing to my YouTube channel. It all helps get the message to the people that are perhaps struggling and finding data governance hard, because we all find it hard in the early days. And I really just want to help people not feel like I did in the early days. So thank you so much for your support and help with that. And remember, if you've got a question that you would like me to answer in a future video, just email it into questions@nicolaascombe.com.